On left, Austin Collins. You might remember him. Both him and Rio Trevathan making the top 8 at our last Invitational paired up against each other. Austin had a top 4 finish.
Yep.
And for Anthony, starts off turn 1, Arbor Elf.
Altered Arbor Elf.
Yeah, it looks like an extension on it. Spire into Vault Scourge.
It's always a good
for Austin.
That's an indicator that your opponent's been playing their deck a while. And this is not the kind of turn 1 start that really inspires confidence in the Affinity deck. When your opponent only drops 1 permanent on the first turn, you can expect a lot of fireworks on the second turn.
Bird of Paradise, Wooded Foothills, and a pass for Anthony. And this is one of the scarier parts about mono green is you don't exactly know what's going to happen next turn. I mean, it's within range for Anthony to play Utopia, Sprawl, Land, Hornet Queen.
Right.
If that is the play, Austin is in a bunch of trouble.
Yes. He's got a good setup himself, though. You see Springleaf Drum into Arcbound Ravager. The issue about this, though, is that Anthony has mana ramp in the form of creatures. He'll be able to do a lot of chump blocking if he needs to do that to buy time, and he's not even under much pressure yet. Ravager itself does not hit very hard. You're looking for a Steel Overseer or a Cranial Plating to really start making good attacks. Ravager is kind of your best card against decks like Jeskai, Jund, where moving stuff around gives you some play against removal spells. In matchups where it's a lot about combat, permanence on the battlefield, Ravager does its job, but it's your worst haymaker. We'll see if Anthony can start producing payoffs. The Green Devotion deck, it's very much a mana ramp deck. It has the issue that all ramp decks kind of have. You have a mix of payoff and enablers. And too many enablers just doesn't do anything. Too much payoff means you don't have enough enablers to get there.
Rest of Anthony's hand, Scavenging Ooze, Kessig Wolfrun, Nissa, Voice of Zendikar, and Summoner's Pact. So right now he has 6 mana this turn. This matchup, when I look at Summoner's Pact, I'm going to go back to this, and you said it too. Hornet Queen does feel like the prize.
Yes, definitely. So this turn with a land drop, he gets to 6 mana, so it's not yet time to go find Hornet Queen, so I'd be surprised to see Summoner's Pact go off this turn. But if he has a 4th mana source going into the next turn, then I would expect that to be the play.
So we'll start with Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. This is from Oath of the Gatewatch. +1 to make a plant token, -2 to put a 1/1 counter on all creatures. Both reasonable options for Anthony.
Yeah, the way the battlefield's shaped up, the plant doesn't do a lot. Having 1/2 birds is reasonable in the face of Vault Scourge. Though because he's building up to Summoner's Pact into Hornet Queen, you don't want to get your mana creatures in combat just yet.
Right, and that's we see him go for the plant token. And I agree, I think for that reason.
Yep.
He'll make Scavenging Ooze, leaving him with just that pact in hand. 1 more mana. Yep. No, I play Amulet Bloom. It's a deck that also has Hornet Queen. I don't know that I've ever cast a Hornet Queen and lost to Affinity.
It's tough. It basically has to be Etch Champion Cranial Plating to punch through that. And you talked about Austin having access to Karn, which means that usually interferes with your other 3 and 4 mana spells, but he is on 3 main deck Etch Champion.
Yeah, so we're wondering what's missing. No Master with Ethereum.
Yeah, because of the basic forest, I imagine it's really tough. You can't play too many colored spells in Affinity, so those stirrings are going to push you away from Master, so that makes a lot of sense.
Vault Scourge hits the Nissa back down to 3. Here is Etched Champion. So Austin will have some safety in the face of a possible Hornet Queen.
Yeah, and a Signal Pest as well.
Yeah.
That one probably not going to be doing too much battle crying, but...
Garruk Wildspeaker was the draw for Anthony.
So the hand now exactly Summoner's Pact, Garruk. So we're missing a 7th mana, so we can't Hornet Queen just yet.
Not yet.
But next turn we can.
Yeah, if the Garruk is still around.
Right.
And it will be the Wildspeaker for Anthony.
And with this coming down, playing it safe, I like the +2 here because the Beast is unlikely to matter. You already have a significant battlefield presence. You're ramping up to Hornet Queen anyway. Making sure that you're able to maintain that Planeswalker, generate the additional mana on the next turn is a lot more valuable.
Yeah, it just goes in pluses here and then says go. He also has one of Primeval Titan. You know, Ryan, I wanted to get the Primeval Titan here.
You know, that one's a lot less good in this deck than it is in your decks. It's just finding lands that produce mana. You go track down your Nykthos. He does have Kessig Wolfrun already on the battlefield, so Nykthos plus Kessig Wolfrun is actually good for a lot of damage.
Yeah.
I'd almost like to see an Inkmoth Dex in the spread there, and
There
Inkmoth
is
Nexus,
not.
but it's not available. You do need a lot of green mana sources, so that does make some sense.
See, I was like I go the other way. You go Kessig Wolfrun plus Colony Garden. It's basically Inkmoth.
I think it's about half as good at best, but it's pretty close.
It's pretty close. Yeah, I mean, it gets them anyway.
It enters tapped anyway, so you're mitigating that cost with your Primeval Titan.
Look, when Ensnaring Bridge was a thing, that was my amulet plan to beat it. You Titan for Wolfrun, Colony Garden, boom.
0 power creature.
Boom.
The Acidic Slime deck cares a little bit less about Ensnaring Bridges.
Yeah, they probably have ways to get around them.
Yeah.
Another Arcbound Ravager here from Austin Collins.
Second Ravager is kind of nice because you get to sacrifice the first to the other Ravager. You get the counter for the activation and the modular on the other Ravager, so it's kind of +2 artifacts on that math.
Well, here's Inkmoth Nexus. Austin is sensing right now that he's running out of time. Can try to get some poison in. So you mentioned he's really got one turn to fade this Hornet Queen. If he successfully attacks down the Garruk, then he can keep Anthony off the mana, but it looks like instead Austin has sent... Well, he sent Esh Champion at Nissa. That will battlecry up to 3. He has sent a pair of Flyers at Garruk. That battlecries to 4. This is a really interesting choice for Anthony. If he wants to protect Garruk, he's going to have to put one of those Birds of Paradise in the way. He'll lose a mana regardless. The worst case scenario for Anthony would be if he blocks with the Birds of Paradise, and then Austin uses maybe an Arcbound Ravager or a Galvanic Blast to finish off Garruk anyway.
Well, Galvanic Blast would just do the trick on its own.
Okay, so you're off
it's
that.
Only on 4 loyalty. I would not expect that to be a card available on hand with this kind of attack.
But Ravager could do it.
Right. One thing I think is a little bit surprising, what I've liked to have seen from Anthony would have been -2 on Nissa on the previous turn, because it allows your Birds of Paradise to actually trade in combat. And if you're protecting Garruk, because Garruk's +2 mana and he was only off 1 on Hornet Queen, he could safely trade away a creature in combat on this turn.
Right. Yeah, now it's not a trade in combat, it's a chump block.
Right, and that's a lot worse. I also don't think that the Nissa is really building up to anything meaningful. That -2 is about the best you're doing. -2ing once you get to the Hornet Queen certainly gives you a lot more value, though I just don't know that's the kind of game that we're playing.
So, before damage, Austin will sacrifice one Ravager to the other, putting a counter on the Ravager and modulating onto the S Champion. Anthony Skrzypczak loses both Planeswalkers.
He's still very alive to an untapped land off the top.
How about a second Summoner's Pact?
Actual worst draw. Actual worst possible draw. Maybe it's a little bit better than a Burning Tree Emissary.
Yeah, still wants that. The problem is if he pacts for something like Primeval Titan, then next turn he's also off the Hornet Queen.
Well, you can pact for Titan, track down a Nykthos and another land. Your green devotion's still relatively high even without those Planeswalkers. You have 4 green pips already on the battlefield. The Primeval Titan puts you all the way up to 6. So your Nykthos makes paying for things pretty easy. You have mana left over. You also have Arbor Elf. Your mana really snowballs out of control. And because you have 2 packs and you can pack for the Hornet Queen after getting the Titan this turn, I think that actually makes a lot of sense.
Do you think the Titan can ramp us into the Hornet Queen?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nykthos does make that real interesting.
Actually,
all right.
Arbor Elf only untaps a forest, I suppose.
Right,
I couldn't untap Nykthos. So.
Voyaging Satyr was the card you're
that's
looking
the card
for.
I was thinking. I'm used to seeing that interaction, even though it's been a couple
Yeah,
years.
That was what the green devotion decks were about. So here's Primeval Titan. You know which deck I'm cheering for now. Getting Basic Forest and Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. So for basically 3 lands can tap for 6 here. It's going to be the short math on it is to pretend like the Nykthos taps for 4.
Right. And so here, you set aside the 4 lands, pay for the pact. Then you have Birds, Arbor Elf. So you can activate the Nykthos, make 6. You have 1 left over. That's enough for Hornet Queen.
Now remember, there's an Inkmoth Nexus, and Anthony had to tap all his Flyers there. It gets you counting on the board just to be sure.
Yeah, so we have a Signal Pest trigger and an Arcbound Ravager on 2. So we're already set up
for 4.
Yeah. So you come in and you only need a few additional artifacts, but he doesn't have that much. There's 2
Right.
Spire of Industries in the mana base there.
Yeah, he could get it to 8 right now. Which means he's 2 hits away. He could right now Battle Cry in for 2 poison and then hope to get the last 8 across on a second hit. But with all those birds, I don't know if he gets the chance. Steel Overseer is cast. Use a Springleaf Drum to activate the Ink Moth. Yeah, still 1 short.
And if it's not lethal poison this turn, it makes more sense to invest in the Etch Champion.
Yeah.
Just because those birds going forward are going to be a problem. I don't know if Hornet Queen is on Austin's radar, but that makes it even harder to get through with the Nexus.
2 poison, 2 damage. Austin sends them in.
He's hanging back the champion, presumably just to tangle with the Primeval Titan.
Right.
Though I imagine he's going to want that regular damage.
Anthony's got to pay for his pact. He'll do that just using his 4 lands. And he does have 7 mana already available here.
Yep.
Remember, the quick way is to count like Nykthos taps for 4. So 4 from Nykthos, 3 from creatures. We're good. The basic land here also lets him, that he drew, also lets him leave back another blocker in Birds of Paradise.
And that is significant because you are going to want to block this Inkmoth Nexus.
Ryan, any reason to do anything? It's just Hornet Queen?
I gotta imagine it's Hornet Queen.
And you to attack with Primeval Titan. I'm always in for that.
Yeah, though as we've discussed, it doesn't actually add too much to make that attack. As far as the lands that you're able to produce with this deck. The Nykthos is already out there. The Wolf Run's already out there.
Nykthos Legendary. Oh, he's going to get Crater Hoof. Hold on.
Oh, we
Is
have
the game
lethal.
over? Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
that
it's
additional mana source put us over the top.
maybe it's not just Hornet Queen here. Crater Hoof Behemoth, 6 creatures, yeah? Oh, yeah, those 2 plant tokens are... No, 8 creatures. There's the plant tokens.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a huge attack. Anthony's got it.
So we were probably already winning just by getting Hornet Queen, but that 8th mana source made it a
way
lot easier.
easier. And Anthony Skrzypczak takes game 1 over Austin Collins. You know, I'd forgotten about the plant tokens because they had done so little for the rest of the game. And I was like, that I just didn't realize that, wait, we are far past
I actually
lethal.
don't even know if they were necessary. Craterhoof does just an obscene amount of damage. Austin's at like -50 or something.
Yeah, game 1 goes over to Anthony. So we'll look at some sideboards when we come back. Stay tuned in just a minute. Back here, Mono Green Devotion versus Affinity. Ryan, I think after that game on my bingo card, I got this card that says Infinite Mana. I got to check it off after that one. That was crazy.
So Infinite is sideways 8. That was actually just 8 mana for the Creator Hoof Behemoth. They're different.
Yeah, if you're actually playing along over hashtag SCGINVI, our bingo cards, it's infinites in quotes. So
Could mean anything.
I'm pretty sure that means that this counts.
If
what you're talking about is infinite, not in quotes.
That's true. They're different.
Austin Collins is going to 6 cards, so is Skrzypczak. Any deck which is ramping, I don't think wants to see a mulligan ever.
Yeah.
What do we think about Austin's sideboard here? Damping Sphere can answer Nykthos, not too much else.
I would not go for something that narrow. One thing about Affinity, you want a sideboard very minorly. Your deck's reliant on having Mox Opal, Springleaf Drums, a lot of enablers, a lot of small creatures to go with your payoff spells, your Platings, and your Ravagers. What I like in matchups like this, he has the 4th Etched Champion. There's a lot of green permanents on the other side of the battlefield to block, so that one's going to be great at punching through. And I actually would probably reach for Thoughtseize here. It's a ramp deck. It requires a specific mix of things. Frequently taking one card of their hand can just completely stop their game plan.
Okay. Now on Anthony's side, 3 Blood Moons, 2 Kozak's Return, 2 Fracturing Gust. I want that one.
What is the sideboard? 2 Worship, 2 Walking Ballista. All this stuff's pretty powerful against Affinity. Yeah,
He's going to Fracturing Gust him.
Yeah, even Kozak's Return is very good against most of what Austin's doing.
It hits Etched Champion.
Yes. Yeah, unless you get run over by a Steel Overseer or there's a Ravager with a lot of nonsense going on, Kozak's Return can frequently just win the game on its own. And Fracturing Gust, there's no real equation going on there. It's probably just going to win the game.
Land Elves taps for mana on the second turns on my card. We had Arbor Elf.
Those are pretty close, but those are. It's not Arbor Elf in quotation marks.
I'm counting it.
It's not Land Elves in quotation marks, so that's a literal interpretation.
Turn 1. Here's a bunch of stuff for Austin.
I'm checking a square.
Ornithopter. There we go. There's a Mox Opal. Arbor Elf for Skrzypczak.
Yeah, I have 3 or more historic cards played in one turn. So, artifacts are historic cards.
The historical Ornithopter. Haven't you heard of it?
It's actually one of the flavor texts on one of the Ornithopters. That's approximately in every era, on every plane, every artificer has successfully invented the Ornithopter. So it's actually very appropriately historic.
Oath of Nissa from Skrzypczak finds another Arbor Elf, which he will cast.
And once again,
I think that's a Horizon Canopy, or is that a Windswept Teeth?
I believe it's a Windswept Teeth.
Okay, it's an artist mod.
Yeah, partly because the deck does not play any Horizon Canopies. That informed
that is
my
a
guess.
Good call.
Yeah. And Austin set up with a Ravager once again, and you would like to see a different payoff or something a little bit more, and this Ancient Stirring should find something.
All right.
5 cards is a lot of looks.
That should find a payoff spell. Maybe a Karn, a Plating, a Ravager.
Wouldn't really mind a Steel Overseer here.
No, he does have to be concerned about, we're on Fracturing Gust mana next turn.
I mean, that's just the kind of thing where you either have a Thoughtseize or you don't. If he has Gust and he has 5 mana...
You're going to lose?
Yes.
Here's Cranial Plating. That's the card that Austin found off Ancient Stirrings.
One shy on equipping, but still pretty good.
So Voltage cracks in for 1. Let's see if a Gust is going to sweep up all this stuff.
And because
it sure would.
Because of the Ravager, Kozak's Return is a fair amount worse than Gust here, but Gust would do it.
There's just like Affinity can't even play around that card. You Thoughtseize it or you lose.
Yep.
Crater Hoof to draw.
Uh-oh.
Are we doing it? Oh, wow.
It's even the From the Vault Fracturing Gust.
Woo, Austin should sack everything in response. Deny that life gain. It doesn't matter. It's all dead. Just all of it. Here's an Ornithopter and a Ravager. There are no more cards.
And this is kind of the Affinity story. Game 1, some things could have gotten a little bit better. Anthony had a pretty powerful draw.
Yeah.
You win some of those, you lose some of those. Then you play some of these sideboard games Like, oh, how'd your game go? Well, my opponent cast a card that I literally could never beat in 1,000 years.
I played Lantern the first time this last weekend. I got hit by a Shatterstorm. This is how it felt.
Yeah.
I just looked at my board. And then I said, oh, I'll sack this welding. And then I was like, oh, wait, that's from, yeah, whatever.
I played Affinity at the Milwaukee Open, and in round 9, I was 6-2. I just lost round 8. I paired against humans. They usually have a couple sideboard cards for Affinity because the matchup's pretty close.
A Rex Sage or something.
Yeah, Rex Sage, Kataki, that stuff's all reasonable. My opponent mulligans to 4 in game 3, and then cast turn 2 Stony Silence, and I lose on the spot.
Yeah. Yep. Some of them are kind of beatable. Stony Silence, I've seen Affinity attack speed. I don't know that I've ever seen Affinity beat a Resolved Fracturing.
Yeah,
Ghost.
Stony Silence is beatable adjacent. It can happen sometimes.
Well, Austin's trying to make a game of it here with his pair of Arcbound Ravagers. You saw a chump block there from Skrzypczak. Drew Kozilek's return. Now he's got a board with 2 Arbor Elves, but randomly we see 4 mana, Garruk, Arbor Elf, and Summoner's Pact in Anthony's hand. I think he can find something.
Oh, yeah. He has plenty of mana available.
Well, he has 2 Pacts. Am I just in the spot? So the first thing I looked at this board and I count and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Summoner's Pact. Ooh, I know what my play is.
Yeah, I think you might find a Primeval Titan.
Found it. 6 mana and Pact. I know how this one works.
It's pretty reasonable. You can see play patterns very similar to game 1. Find that Titan, find that Nykthos to do whatever you want next turn.
The Nykthos isn't as good this time.
Yeah, there's a good amount of pips. There's 4 already. The Titan puts up to 6, so it's actually exactly as good.
Again, I would wish he had the mana for Hornet Queen. I think the game would be completely over at that point. But, Primeval Titan's going to end the game too. Let's be real.
He did draw Craterhoof Behemoth, so we can spend some time getting some creatures out there, getting up to 8 mana, and then hoofing next turn.
Yeah, 6 Pact. Nice. This is the only card Summoner's Pact ever finds.
Yeah, hopefully you can find something that's good enough to beat a 2-2 and a 1-1.
You just should always get Primeval Titan. Yeah. This is a nice card.
I do appreciate that it's 1 Primeval Titan, because you find it with Summoner's Pact sometimes.
That's kind of I mean, I just want to draw them. It's the best tutor in Modern by a mile. Look at this card. Look at all that stuff.
What about Scalding Tarn?
No, this can find this can find more. Primeval Titan can find more things than Scalding Tarn.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Summoner's Pact. Okay.
No, Primeval Titan's the best tutor in Modern.
I buy that.
Not only does it tutor 2 cards for you, it also cheats them both into play.
And I like this line by Austin. He's shoving both Ravagers on the Inkmoth Nexus. It's 5 poison. It's a clear hit this turn. You hope it's good next turn, because you're not winning with literally anything else.
Okay, upkeep. Anthony pays 4 for the Pact. I mean, he's got another Summoner's Pact, Ryan, and I think the play is you Summoner's Pact for Acidic Slime.
Slime's pretty good against that Inkmoth.
I'm not sure. Yeah, Pact for Slime feels like a win. Then Austin's board will be 1 Darksteel Citadel.
Yeah, that's not nearly as good enough.
Against Primeval Titan.
And Garruk.
And
Nykthos.
Yeah, I like the Acidic Slime here. It's probably not the only thing he can do. I bet he's got another nice play.
And you probably don't lose with the Hornet Queen. He's supposed to. He only has 6 available this turn because he used the Nykthos. Oh, no, you just get down tap Nykthos with Garruk. You have infinite mana.
Yeah, you have as much as you'd like. How about Craterhoof? Again, I keep trying to suggest non-Craterhoof plays.
Yeah, so +3 on all of them. So we have 9, 17. Yeah, that's 20. That's 21.
And that's going to do it. Anthony Skrzypczak, Mono Green Devotion. We had a 5-way tie for first place going into the round. That pack's becoming ever smaller, down to 3, maybe 2 players.